Hi, we have all used Google Maps, right? And we find it pretty easy to understand and use. We have also used apps on top of Google Maps like this ride share apps such as Uber and Ola and many others. And there are many other apps where people are developing which uses Google Maps embedded inside it. Now let me explain why this is comforting. There is one feature in our brain called the hypothalamus, which is a little bit larger than what is seen in other animals. And this feature allows us to get what is known as spatial acuity. We can understand spaces pretty fast. You come into your house and a little disarray, and then you can immediately know something is amiss over there. And that's why we arrange things, you put curios in various places and we put our purse in a particular location. All that happens because we are using our brain to become comfortable. We want it to be comfortable. We don't arrange things in alphabetical order, for example, in our house. So the natural question is that when we use these applications, which today has become part of our daily life, it is as if we are actually living in a different kind of space. We should ideally be using these kind of space-based applications. But currently the way it works is that we have terrestrial map-based applications, but there are not many which uses similar concept for indoor maps, that is the floor plans in which we all have inhabit. We work in floor plans, we live in floor plans, right? But we don't have apps of that nature, at least not yet. Several years back, I discovered a very interesting bit of mathematics in architecture, which allows architecture to be talked about and spoken about and modeled using spaces, a very nice simple arrangement of spaces. This is not much different from what architects already know. We use something called bubble diagrams, and built on top of that is this very interesting computer-aided designing system instead of a drafting system, which is called TAD. TAD stands for the Architect's Desktop, and it allows architects to really flesh out a design right from very early stage, literally from bubble diagramming stages, all the way to its final stages, and then construction, and then even later on in usage, which is where that initial point about maps comes back into picture. Now, architects have a very tough job because when they get a project, there are some million things which needs to be checked and considered. So TAD is like a spreadsheet for buildings. And using the concepts which I discovered in maths, which allows extremely terse ways of modeling architecture, what happens is that you can actually get a design out really efficiently. And not just one design, you can get multiple alternatives out. It is like having a set of menu in front of you, and then you choose which is the one which is most appropriate. So you have a very nice designing system. And by the way, it also does drafting. Very soon we are adding a drafting component to it, or if the architect already uses drafting software such as AutoCAD, they can use that, and you can actually start with TAD and smoothly dovetail into AutoCAD or our own drafting component and create your magnificent buildings and interior designs and whatnot. And because it has got this spreadsheet-like capability, you can actually figure out what you need to really offer to the world. And the story doesn't end there. What happens is that this rich set of TAD models are now available for software developers. So architects can choose to lease out their floor plans to software developers. Now, software developers in turn would have a very rich set of data on which a whole lot of applications can be developed. Things like home management, society management, ERP, warehousing management, facilities management, hotel management, hospital management. I mean, there are 1,000 different applications, and this can be tailor-made for that specific kind of spaces which are there in the world around. So it not only empowers architects, but it also empowers software developers. And by the way, TAD is free for architects, and they get an alternate source of revenue because they can actually now lease out this data to various other software developers, which in turns feeds the sense of responsibility which architects now will be able to exercise. They can say, you know what, I can actually work out many different alternatives before I come up with my solution. So that's where we are headed. TAD stands for the Architect's Desktop, and my name is Sabu Francis. I'm the inventor of this particular way of designing. It is not very different from what architects have already done, but at the same time it allows for very rich spreadsheet like what if analysis, which architects can now do and create really beautiful buildings and responsible buildings. The world is facing a lot of crisis in terms of energy consumption and carbon footprint and usage of water and a million other things. So I'm giving this system free so that that can get developed. At the same time, there is money to be made for the architects by leasing out this data to software developers. So it's win-win all around. Thank you very much. Oh, I think I did not explain much about myself. My name is Sabu Francis, as I told. I'm an architect myself. I'm from IIT Kharagpur, and I won the JIA award for this work in 1991. I was the architect for really complex buildings, and I've done a whole lot of complex as well as simple and big and small projects, and all of them was done in TAD. I'm the architect for Konkan Railways non-railway projects. That means their buildings and their interior designs. And so there's a whole lot of work which was done using TAD. I hope architects will understand this, and I hope software developers will also understand the opportunity which is now available. Thank you very much.